Hi guys, this video goes out to my students in English classes 6-8 and E6-9. Um, so before I begin, I just want to uh, say that, guys, I have a Zoom invitation put on our Google Classroom stream. I just included that on there this morning. And I would like the students in English classes 6-8 and 6-9 to join me for a Zoom session on the 28th. So if you can do that on the afternoon of the 28th, that would be great. And you're going to get, you will again notice that there is a link to that Zoom session with some other details on the Google Classroom stream. So please make sure that you check that. Today, I just want to talk a little bit about your work and what I would like you to do and how I want your work to look when you submit it to me, when you give it to me. Okay. So this is a very general homework assignment. It's from our text. Many of you have completed it already. These are the questions from pages 4 and 5 in our text. Sections exercise 1, exercise 2, and exercise 3. Now on this sheet, I did not include exercises, exercise 3, and exercise 2 is only half complete. This is just an example of what I want your work to look like, okay? So when you turn something into me, whether it's a homework assignment from our text or a writing assignment, the first thing I want to see on your work is your name. So you'll include that here. Also, of course, your class. Which class are you in? Are you in English 6 or English 8 or English 9? And also the date. So these three pieces of information are very important on every homework assignment you give me. Now, when you format your work, when you begin to write your work, guys, if you can, please don't take a picture of your work and send that to me. It's often very blurry. It's difficult for me to see. And if I can't see all of your work, or if I can only see parts of the work, then I can't give you a proper grade for that. So please, when you're submitting your work to me, the best way usually is in a document like this one that's formatted with answers that can be seen and read clearly. Okay, so here you'll notice Jody has started exercise 1, and this is from page 4. Exercise 1, identifying nouns. And in Jody's homework assignment, he's included the numbers here for the questions he's answering. And also, the questions are typed very neatly in a font that is easy to read. You'll notice here that Jody has added circles around the answers to make it easier for my teacher to read. And so completing this assignment and identifying nouns, we were challenged, of course, to circle the nouns in each of these sentences. So that's the way it should look when we're finished. And then, of course, also exercise 2, identifying verbs. Again, guys, when you're answering the questions there for exercise 2, writing these sentences, and then, of course, underlining the verbs in each of those sentences, just, type it nice and neat like this. Underline the verb, just using the underline function. If you're on a Mac and you're using Pages, it looks like this. If you are using a PC and you're using Microsoft Word, it's going to look different. Of course, your menu options will be here at the top. But, when you're underlining your verbs, just underline it very simply. And then you're finished. Okay, so when you format your work, make sure that there's lots of spacing between your answers. You'll notice here that Jody has double spaced this, and if you'll look at my options here to change formatting, that the number 2 appears here. That means it's double spaced. Of course, if you're using Microsoft Word, that's going to appear here at the top. There will be an option there to change the spacing. Make sure you have lots of spacing, okay? And then also that there's spacing between the different exercises. Don't put the exercises right next to each other. Give yourself some space here. You have lots of room to work. So give yourself some space. And it also makes it easier for Jody to read and understand. Okay? Okay. The next thing I want to talk about in our video today is about stimulating ideas. So it often happens before we begin to write that we have no ideas. We're just starting a writing assignment, and we have we have no ideas. Okay, sorry, I've kind of moved my screen there a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so then, stimulating ideas. So before we begin to write, where do our ideas come from? Where do we get our ideas? Jody gives us a topic or a theme, and then we have to write something about the topic or the theme, but we have no ideas. Where are we going to get our ideas from? Well, we have lots of choices. We can get our ideas from the internet. We can get our ideas from a book, a magazine, or a newspaper. We can get them from a movie or from watching TV. We can even get ideas just by talking to our friends or family members about a topic. Often conversation with others will generate or create ideas that we can use in our paper. Okay? So once we have our ideas, how do we organize our ideas? Our ideas are just sort of floating out there. And we can choose to write those down on a piece of paper, organize them the way that we want to. But if you're like Jody, you're a visual learner. And I like to have an image of some kind to help me with organizing my ideas. So I will use what's called a mind map, or I will use an outline to help me organize my ideas. For example, if you look at this document here, not this one, but this one. Okay, so this is a mind map. And if Jody is a student and the teacher gives Jody a topic, a theme, something to write about, in this case, it's apple pie. But of course, if and when the teacher gives me a topic to write about, I want to, first of all, begin investigating some places where I'll get ideas from for the topic, and then I want to organize them into something maybe that looks like this. Now, this is called a mind map, and generally in a mind map, your main idea, the theme, the topic, the main idea for your paper is in the center. Okay, in this case, the topic is apple pie. And Jody has been challenged by his teacher to write about apple pie. So Jody's going to begin creating some ideas, some things that I can use in my paper. If the paper is, you know, a long one, maybe if I have to write 300 or 400 words, then I'm going to need a lot of ideas that I can include in my paper. If my paper is a short one, maybe only 150 to 200 words, then I don't need that many ideas. In this case, Jody is writing a long paper about apple pie, and I need a lot of ideas. What is Jody going to talk about in his paper? Well, I've included here some what are called interrogatives to help create ideas, to help me generate ideas. And I'm using the words where and when and what, also why, how, and what again. So if I'm going to talk about apple pie and I'm going to explain in my paper where, I might include a little bit about where I would enjoy apple pie or where I would eat apple pie, possibly where I would make an apple pie. And that could be at home or at a restaurant or in a cafe. So when Jody begins to write his paper, he could say, you know, a lot of people go to a cafe to enjoy a nice piece of apple pie, maybe with some coffee. And together, the coffee and the apple pie make for a very enjoyable culinary experience. The two go together well. I love apple pie, and a great place to enjoy it is at a restaurant. Okay, very good. What if I'm going to make apple pie? Well, making apple pie, of course, I don't want to do that in a restaurant or even at a cafe because I don't work there. I'm going to do that at home. So I'm going to talk a little bit in my paper about making apple pie at home, or maybe even eating apple pie at home. Okay, so Jody gets those ideas from his research, maybe the internet or from talking to a friend or a book, and then Jody begins to put those ideas here in his mind map. How about when? So when do we enjoy eating apple pie? Well, perhaps Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter. So if Jody wants to talk about when people eat apple pie, he'll think about that. Jody will think about that and then do a little research, maybe online. I will type in, when do people enjoy eating apple pie? And some ideas, maybe from some websites that pop up, will appear. And from that, I might get Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter. And I could then say in my paper, so a lot of people around the world enjoy eating apple pie at Christmas time. And at Christmas time, when people get together to enjoy other foods, of course, besides apple pie, you will almost always find that among the foods there, apple pie is there. It's part. And people enjoy eating apple pie together at Christmas time, at home, of course, and you'll recall from where that Jody included at home. So you might even mix the ideas that you're creating here in your mind map, and then use those ideas that you've mixed together in your paper. So the idea really of a mind map like this one is simply to create some ideas around the theme apple pie. What am I going to say about apple pie? What am I going to write about apple pie? Maybe I will talk about where in my paper. Maybe I will talk about when in my paper. Maybe I will talk about why in my paper. Okay, and I'm going to get some ideas for that from the internet and then organize my ideas into something that looks like this. Of course, this is not mandatory. This is optional. It's just one way of organizing your ideas. And guys, you can see this mind map now clearly in my recording. If you want to use this idea later in your writing, of course, not about apple pie, but if you want to use the mind map idea in your writing later, you can always come back and view Jody's example to remind you what it looks like and how it's organized in order to help you better organize your ideas before you write. I think a lot of students make the mistake of writing quickly before they organize their ideas, and therefore in the paper all of the ideas are confused. There's no order. There's no logical order to the ideas. The ideas are all mixed up and confused. The student didn't organize their ideas before they started writing. They just started writing. There is a logical order to things when we write. We can't just start writing in a crazy way. There is, of course, a logical order to writing. And I'm going to show you an example of that now. This example here, I'm going to, of course, leave that in my recording for you guys to refer to later. So let's go now to organizing our ideas into a logical order. So if we look at this now, we notice that I've included some things here in 1 through 5 connected to the theme or idea of apple pie, perhaps making it or eating it, that is not in a logical order. It's all mixed up. If a student writes their paper using these ideas this way from 1 through 5, the paper will seem confused. There will be no organization. It will be very, very confusing to read it. Because if you look at what I have, it says, put the apples in a pan and bake them. Buy the apples. Eat the baked apples. Clean and cut the apples. Take the apples out of the oven and let them cool. Well, when I begin to write my paper, is this the order that I'll include my ideas in? I don't think so. This is not logical. 不合理ですよ、これは。This is not logical, okay? So Jody is going to arrange these in an order that is more logical, that's easier to understand. So let me just move what I have here very quickly down a bit. So I can... Okay, so if I arrange these into an order that makes sense, what's the first thing that I'm going to begin writing about or that I'm going to include in my paper? Let's see, maybe the first thing I have to do is to buy the apples. Okay, so that's the first thing. Next, am I going to put the apples in a pan and bake them? Yeah, mada. Not yet. So what's the next logical thing I have to do? I would say maybe clean and cut the apples. Okay, so there we go. That's next. And 3, what would be next, do you think, then? Perhaps take the apples out of the oven and let them cool. Yeah. Mada desu ne. Not yet. So if that's not right, what would be number 3? How about, maybe we would want to put the apples in a pan and bake them. Okay, there we go. This is looking a lot better now. It looks like the ideas are more organized from beginning to end. okay, which is what we want. Next, number 4, put the apples in a pan and bake them. Okay, what else then? Probably number 5, take the apples out of the oven and let them cool. That sounds good to me. So let's go ahead and take the apples out of the oven and let them cool. Okay, great. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eat the baked apples. Great. Okay, so this is how writing works. The ideas must flow. ちゃんと流れないといけませんよ. The ideas must flow in a logical way from beginning to end. So before we begin to write, we have to organize our ideas somehow into a logical order. And just to review, we'll get our ideas, first of all, from a book or a conversation or the internet. Then we'll organize our ideas. We'll have lots of ideas maybe, and we'll want to include those around the theme or topic. Then we have to organize our ideas into a logical order, and then write about those ideas in our paper, include those ideas in our paper. Okay, so the point of this then really, other than to explain how I want your homework to look, is to talk a little bit about organization, how your work, how your ideas are organized, and then logical order, that your ideas appear in an order that makes sense, in a logical order from beginning to end in your paper. And that's the purpose of showing you this, so that you have a better idea how your ideas should be arranged logically in your work. Okay? So we've finished with our activities on pages 4 and 5, sections exercise 1, exercise 2, and exercise 3. The next thing we want to start working on is page 5, language and grammar focus. Okay, I'm going to just create a very short PowerPoint presentation for that, explaining a little bit about the language and grammar focus parts I want you really to focus on. And then I'm going to give you some more homework for that, and I will give you some homework from that, and I will include that in our Google Classroom, in the classroom section of our class. Okay? All right, guys, I hope that helps a little bit later when you begin to write and you're trying to think of ideas. Where are you going to get your ideas from? And then when you begin to organize your ideas, how are you going to organize them? Are you going to write them down on a piece of paper? Are you going to create an outline? Are you going to create a mind map? Omakase shimasu yo. I'll leave that up to you guys, but somehow you want to organize that. So later, when you begin to write, you have lots of ideas, and when you write, your ideas are in a logical order, in an order that makes sense, that's easy for Jody to read. Okay, guys, I think that's all for today. Have a great week, you guys. I look forward to our Zoom session on the 28th. Please look at the Google Stream again for that. I've included a link there for that. I want you guys to connect to our Zoom session using that link, okay? And I look forward to seeing everyone there. Have a great week, you guys, and a great weekend. Please be sure to check your Google Classroom, the Stream and Classroom, for work and updates and other information, okay? And also your Zoom link. Thanks, guys, and see you later. Bye.